Okay, Rabotai, this week is Parshas Tzav. It's also Shabbat HaGadol. And I think everybody's been doing Gadol things of late, right? Getting ready for Pesach. And sometimes when we do great things, and we have...
You can use the training procedure so that...
Put this on mute. Here we go. Okay. So sometimes when we do great things, and it gets to our head, right? We become somewhat of a malgaiva, someone arrogant, because look what I did, look what I achieved, look where I am. And so it's important to anchor yourself back down. There's a Yalkut Shimoni, Remes 480 in this week's parasha, that says on the pasuk, Zot Torat Ha'olah. Zot Torat Ha'olah. This is the law of the Olah offering, right? The Olah goes up completely to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He Ha'olah, says the Midrash Yalkut Shimoni, the person who is Olah himself. He Ha'olah, he that picks himself, he, she, but meaning the person picks himself up. Al Mokedah, stays on the flame, says the Midrash, that he who rises himself above others deserves to be burnt. That's the way the Yalkut Shimoni reads the pasuk. The one who raises himself up and rises himself above others, Al Mokedah, is deserving of being burnt. The Gemara in Bava Batra says, a person who is haughty is not even accepted among the people of his household. Someone who puts himself superior above everybody else in his house, they don't even want to deal with him. No one wants to deal with an arrogant person. The pasuk in Habakkuk says, in the second perek, in pasuk, hey, he is an arrogant man and does not stay at home. Why? The people cannot tolerate him. They want him out. Whatever excuse they can get him out, they get him out. They don't want him around. They do not want an arrogant person around. It is difficult to be in the company of somebody who's always about himself. It's always about his glory, his honor. And not only that, because he feels he's such a chush of a guy, right? He belittles everybody else, right? Listen, I think we can all safely say we've experienced such people in our lives, who everything is about them, and everyone around them needs to be put down. If someone starts to become chashiv, right, they have to find a way to lower them. It's a very, very dangerous problem if a person has such a thing. Rabbi Elbaz here says, in Lamashal, he says, imagine there's a boss, a director, and one of his employees that he hired as his workers starts to act as the director, right? I've actually seen this once. I was in the hospital, I was covering another unit. I was the manager for one unit, the manager for one unit, I was covering another unit. And when I get to the unit, right, so someone told me there was a patient complaint. So I came to see the patient, see what I can do, fix up the complaint. So the patient says, I told him I'm the covering manager. He said, I already spoke to the manager. I said, oh, really? That's nice to know. Who is this manager? So it describes me, who the manager is. It's one of the nurses on the floor. So I walk over to her and I say to her, I heard you were the manager. Oh, she said, I was trying to calm the situation, so I told him I was the manager. I said, no, that's misrepresentation, right? You can't do that. But the Rav Elbaz says here, imagine you have a worker you hired, and they start acting as you. They start telling people what to do, and they stop listening to you. What will happen? What would the boss do to this guy? Fire him, exactly. You stay in your lane. If you can't stay in your lane, you're out. It's not your job to be everybody's boss. Now, if you're his assistant, or he asked you, that's a different story. So says Rabbi Elbaz, the same thing. That's the way Hashem deals with people. When he sees a humble person getting along with everyone, he elevates him, he uplifts him. And the opposite, Chas Shalom. If a person, Hashem sees a person starting to lord over others, Kadosh Baruch Hu will decrease him, bring him down. We saw this Gemara in Ta'anit last week. The Torah dwells only in one who lowers himself before it. Someone is a Baal Gaiva, right? And he stands up and he says, me. The Torah doesn't go into him. Hashem grants wisdom to those who are humble. And that's the whole comparison to Har Sinai, right? What was Har Sinai? I'm sure you all heard your children's song, right? I'm a mountain so big, so wide, right? The Torah should be given on me. And little Har Sinai is like, I got nothing, right? And like HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, from all of the mountains, Hashem chose Sinai. Why? Humbleness pays. When a person is humble, HaKadosh Baruch Hu uplifts him. When a person is humble, Hashem gives him the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah goes on to him. Right? It's the mashal, you can see it this way. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence fills up the world. But if your presence is also filling up, right, because I'm full of myself, then you're clashing with the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Obviously, Hashem will win in the end, right? Not in the end, always. But the person, so to speak, puts a barrier between him and HaKadosh Baruch Hu when he is being arrogant.
It's competing.
It's competing. Exactly. Listen to this story he brings over here. Very, very sad, funny, but a very important lesson over here. There was a group of young men, and they were arguing who was the most bravest of them all. Who is the most bravest of them? So one of them said, I'm not afraid of anything. Whatever you do, whatever you ask, I'll do it, and I'll do it better. So they put him up to the bet. And they said, here is what you're going to do. If you're the most bravest person in the world, go at midnight to the cemetery. Go at midnight to the cemetery. And go into the middle of the cemetery and prove to us that you're there by how? By taking a long stick. They gave him the stick. Go in there and put it in the middle of the cemetery, and this way I'll know you, we will know that you were there. This is a cemetery, no lights. There's a cemetery on the outskirts of the town. And the guy said, sure, I ain't scared about anything. So he takes the stake and he goes at midnight. He goes to the cemetery. And he says he's scared, maybe ghosts, maybe spirits, whatever. But he goes to the middle. He says, I'm going to do this very quick. I'll put it down. I'm going to run out, He takes it. He takes the stake. And he puts it into the ground, not noticing that it went through the side of his pants, right? It didn't hurt him, but it went through his clothing. And he put the stake in the ground, and his clothing got stuck to the stake. So he puts it down, and he says, I did it. I'm going to run out of the cemetery now. He turns around to leave, and guess what? He got stuck. He can't move. So he starts screaming, the spirits, the this, the that, the ghosts. And he had a heart attack, and he was lifted. He passed away. The guys are waiting for him the next morning, his group, right? Is waiting for him. Where is he? They don't see him. They said, let's go see what happened. They go to the cemetery, and there they see him dead on the floor. Why? He's a Baal Gaiva. He is a person who is haughty, who is arrogant. They are a ruin to themselves. A ruin to themselves. I'll give you another such idea, not a story, but such an idea. You'll find people who are Baal Gaiva, who are arrogant, they would rather miss out on so many things than go to a function that they will feel that they're not going to get the right cover that they think they deserve. They think, I can't go there because they're not going to call me here, not going to tell me this and that. And they lose out. I've seen grandparents where they say, I'm not going to go to one of their kids or games because he doesn't treat me right. Instead of thinking I have time to spend with my family, they're worried about kavod. What kavod? What this, that? Don't worry about it. They'll get there. Our job is not to be demanding on kavod. Our job is to be there and do our job and to be humble. Now, if the person has to learn how to respect his parents and grandparents, someone has to teach him that. That's for sure. But at the same time, a person shouldn't lose out in life because he feels he has to be at a certain level, and that level is not being reached, and so he's staying away from things, or he's losing out from things, or he's showing away from things. There's a Rambam. They came to the Rambam and they told the Rambam there's a certain guy who's so humble. Anybody comes into his place, he shines their shoes, he cleans their clothes, he gives them food, he waiters on them. This guy is unbelievable. They even told the Rambam they can't even find a Jewish tzaddik who's more humble than this guy. So the Rambam says, I gotta go see it for myself. So the Rambam goes there and he sees this guy. He's outside bringing people into his house. He's taking care of them, shining their shoes, washing them, giving them food, whatever they need. They had some take over their house. After a whole day of watching, the Rambam walks over to the guy. And he says to the guy, I've been watching you. And I have to say, you really are an anav. You're such a humble person, such a great guy. But I have one question for you. So the guy says, yeah, what's the question? He says, have you ever read the Jewish Bible, the Torah? So the guy says, I read a little bit of it. I really don't know. I read here and there. So the Rambam says, in the Torah it says that Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest anav. The greatest, humblest person in the whole world. And he says, I have a problem, says the Rambam. Clearly, you're greater than Moshe, right? And but the pasuk says Moshe is never going to be like him. I have a problem with this pasuk. What do I do with it? How do I explain it? So what did the guy say to the Rambam? The guy said, Lamaisa, that was my question also when I saw this pasuk. I was saying, how could it be? The guy says, I had the same question. How could it be that it says Moshe was the greatest anav when I'm here and I'm the greatest anav? So obviously, his anivus, his humility, was not real. Because he was doing it for what? He was doing it for the show. Everyone should know he's an anav. A true anav doesn't do that. The Mesilat Yesharim says there is another kind of arrogant person who believes since he deserves praise and possesses great qualities, he must be feared and revered. He expects everyone to tremble before him. And he believes people shouldn't even approach him. If they dare come near to him without permission, he will terrify them with his voice, humiliate them with his sharp words, and constantly maintain a stern and serious demeanor. This is a person who's a bad guy, somebody who is haughty. An arrogant person says to those who approach him, do not speak to me like that. Lower your voice. Come at another time. Why are you here now? He instills fear in others and angers. And says Rabbi Elbaz, one does not have to be a CEO or to be arrogant. Anyone in any role can feel superior. He says he was once walking in the streets where the sanitation people were collecting the garbage. And he heard the sanitation workers arguing. What were they arguing? One of the workers was saying, nobody can throw the garbage can like I can. And the other one said, no, I'm just as good. And he said, it's impossible. I'm the greatest. And here they are arguing. Who is the greater? Garbage collector. Anyone can argue. I've seen it. I've seen it with the lowest of workers, right? They're competing. Who's the better worker? Which is a good thing sometimes. But to be arrogant with each other and to be haughty, what's going on? Pride is not reserved for the rich, the strong, or the successful. Even a simple person can be consumed by arrogance. Chazal say, Msachim, skin a carcass in the market and take payment. But do not say, I am a Kohen, or I am a great man, and this matter disgusts me. Person has to support himself. Whatever he has to do, he has to do. He's never to say, I am this, I am that, and this is beneath me. The Chidah, we all know, was very well versed in Torah. Deep knowledge in everything. And he wrote, how many Sfarim he wrote, Rabotai? Over how many? Was it 100? At least 70 books, they say. At least 70 Sfarim. In all different genres of Torah. And, when he was born, he almost passed away immediately. When his mother was in labor, it was a very, very hard labor. And they were trying to keep her alive. That they forgot to take care of the baby when the baby was born, or they weren't able to. And it said that the Chidah's grandmother was there, and she looked at the baby that was just born, and he was completely black, which means that he probably wasn't breathing, right? And she immediately worked to revive him until his color returned, and he began to breathe on his own. And they say over here, why did this happen like this? The Satan knows that when a certain neshama comes into a world and he's going to bring so much Torah, he tries to kill the baby right at the start, so he doesn't live and able to reveal all that Torah, right? Because it's going to be a big foe for him later on. So he wants to get rid of him right away. Similar story with the Ben Ish Chai, that he was a young boy, he fell into the pit, right? He almost died in there. He was miraculously saved. Again, the Satan was working to get rid of him. They also say that when Chacham Ovadia, it's a true story, when Chacham Ovadia was a baby, there was a snake that coiled around his neck. And it almost bit him and poisoned him. And his aunt noticed it and saved him before any harm could be done. So these were great tzaddikim. Many stories, I guess, where they were almost, didn't make it because of this. But when the Chidah, with such a memory, writing so many Sfarim, when he would go around and talk to people, he would say, I have no memory at all. I don't know things. Rabbi Reuven Elbaz, Shlita, he says that when he went to visit Chacham Ovadia, Chacham Ovadia was learning from the Sfarim of the Chidah. Chacham Ovadia, he said, wow, the incredible memory that the Chidah had. So Reuven Elbaz says, Baruch Hashem, in our day we also have someone with incredible memory. The Maran, the Rishon LeZion, Chacham Ovadia. Chacham Ovadia said, what? It's not even close. Do you know who the Maran Chidah was? He starts telling him about the greatest of the Maran Chidah. Everything that went in his mind never left. And yet the Chidah said, what? I have no memory at all. Why is that? Is he lying? No, he's not lying. The more a person learns Torah, the more he realizes he doesn't know. The person doesn't learn Torah, he knows. Because why? Because he knows what he knows. He doesn't know, he doesn't know. The person learns Torah, he starts to see that there's a whole different world. And every change in a case changes the halakha. You have to know exactly what the case is. There's a story told. The Chidah once came to Tunisia, right? Tunisia. And the whole Jewish community came out to visit him, to greet him. They came out with drums and music and dancing. And there was a certain minister, a guy, whose residence was near where the Chidah was staying. And the son of the minister heard all this commotion, all this banging outside. So he decided to come out, and he wanted to, ruin the merrymaking of the Jews. So he got onto the balcony, and he decided he was going to urinate from the balcony as soon as the Chidah walks right by. This is right next door to them. Chidah is walking by, and the Chidah notices that this guy is up there, this boy, and he's starting to do something. So the Chidah, the story goes, davens to Hashem to, not to let this happen. The moment that the Chidah davened, all of a sudden this boy up there who was trying to urinate down on the Chidah becomes paralyzed. He loses control over his bodily functions. They bring him inside. They realize after a while they bring him inside. A few days goes by, and he starts bleeding, and all these other things happen to him. He's in pain. He's screaming out. And his parents ask him, what happened? What happened? What happened? How did this happen? Where was it? The doctor's trying to figure out. No one can figure it out. So the boy says, I think it has to do with what I wanted to do to the rabbi. So they go to the chidah. The parents go to the chidah. They ask for forgiveness. Chidah, in his humility, forgives them immediately. And all of a sudden, the boy goes back to being normal. This is somebody who was so great. Says, I don't remember anything. Ready to forgive immediately. The humility of the tzaddik. Well, listen to the next story I will tell you. This one is the kicker. The Hidah, when he would learn Torah, he had a habit to chew on tobacco. I think that was the way they used it. Right? They would chew on tobacco. And that's the way people did things. One time, he comes to a city, and he gets there.
This is what, the 1700s?
He lived in 1704 to 1806. He gets to the city, and they auction off who is going to have the chidah in his house for dinner. And they're collecting money for Eretz Yisrael, so one of the ways to do it, they auction off who's going to get a chance to have the chidah over for dinner. The chidah goes for dinner. It's a big tzedakah thing. He gets the money. Okay, beautiful. He goes back to where he's staying. It's the middle of the night. At the chidah was noheg. He gets up in the middle of the night to go learn. He gets up to go learn. And as he was accustomed to do, his habit, he takes out the tobacco. But he can't find it. He's looking. He can't find the tobacco. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. He says, where could it be? It must be I left it at the house that I had dinner at. So he gets up and he goes straight to that house in the middle of the night. He knocks on the door. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. What are you going to find? The owner of the house, the Baal Bayit, comes out in pajamas. And the chidah says, oh, I was wondering if I left my tobacco here. The man says, oh, Rabbi, let me see. And he goes, he brings it to him. The chidah gets it. And then he says to himself, what did I just do? I woke up a sleeping family 2 o'clock in the morning for what? For tobacco? How could I have done that? Listen to this. The next morning, he announced that during the Mincha and Shabbat, everyone needs to come to Shul. He's going to be delivering a special drasha sermon. Everybody came. The Chidah says it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a great drasha. He stood before everyone. And this was his words. We're quoting them, translating them in English. Behold before you. He's talking to the whole community that came out. Behold before you a man who has become addicted to a worldly desire, tobacco. See to what extent I fell. I don't even care about robbing people of their sleep and disturbing them in the middle of the night just to fulfill my craving. Said the Hidah. He's talking about himself to everybody. I've come to teach you how dangerous such a habit can be. And from this day forward, I accept upon myself never to take tobacco again. I will learn without taking tobacco. I will tell you, not even a trace of arrogance in the Hidah. The family never complained. He came. But the Hidah did a hishbon nefesh and said, how can I have done that? The man was willing in front of everybody to confess to something that no one would even hear about in order to correct what he did on his spiritual level. But the stories are not just stories. The stories are for us to learn from them, to realize the humility and the humbleness that we have to work at. We have to really, I say it over. I'm not embarrassed to say this. At some point in my life, when we used to, it used to be in a shul in Queens. So they used to ask, when I was in the shul, sometimes they would ask me to pray Arvit on Shabbat. was a young guy. Listen, I was in my early 20s, mid 20s actually. And then there was another guy there who was somewhat had a good voice, but he wasn't so careful with Kriya and stuff like that. And they used to give it to him sometimes when he came. He didn't always come. I came almost there every week, but that guy didn't come all the time. But they used to give it to him. And I used to feel very angry inside. I had, why did you give it to him? Who's this guy? He can't read right. He can't read straight. He doesn't show up every week. And at some point, I got to that level where I said, why am I getting angry? It took a few years. So why am I getting this? And I said, Lamaisa, he's doing for Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'm doing for Kadosh Baruch Hu. Am I upset because he's not reading right, or I'm upset because I want to go up there and he's going up there instead? And at that point, I was able to work on myself. Not going to say it's completely gone, but oh Hashem, I'm able to I still have this thing where I would like someone who's a good chazan to go up because it gives a nice tefillah and everything like that. But at the same time, it comes to the fact that it doesn't have to be me, right? It's a sense of it's all for the boss. It's all for Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and a person is able to come to that. It takes time. And the person always has to work at it and stuff like that. But it's something he has to get to. There's a story that happened during the times of the Marshal, Rabbi Shlomo Luria, who lived between 1510 and 1573. He was learning with his Talmud a complex sugya in Gemara, and they couldn't figure out the answer. They couldn't figure out the sugya. And it was late at night, and the Marshal went for a walk, and he walks past the house of Avram the grocer, the guy who had the grocery store. And he's walking past his house, and he hears Torah coming out of the window. Someone learning Torah. So he goes to listen, and he's amazed. The exact sugya that the Maharshal is learning and can't figure out, the guy who he's hearing from the window is learning that sugya out loud and explaining it so clearly, all the questions the Maharshal had was answered. So the Maharshal knocks on the door. He hears the voice. So the grocer, Rabbi Avram, comes down. And the Marshal tells him, please continue learning. I want to hear you learn. He says, what are you talking about? I wasn't learning. He says, no, I heard you. So he says, okay, I guess. And he starts learning, and he starts missing words and stuff like this. And he is, what's it called? Playing dumb. He's trying to get out of it. And the Marshal says, listen, I heard you learn. Your secret's out. I heard what I heard. I know it. Your secret's out. There's no point hiding. So Rabbi Abraham, the grocer, is begging the Marshal, please don't tell anybody. And the Marshal said, listen, I don't know what to tell you, but you have to become the Rav of this city. You have to become the head over here. I can't do it. You have to do it. You know so much more Torah. That was the Marshal. He saw someone greater. He gave it to him. He didn't say, me, this, that. He was ready to give it. And look at this grocer. The guy knows so much. And he's hiding. I don't want anyone to know that I know. Everybody knows the greatest of Ashkenazic poskim in the era of the Achronim, the Ramah. The Ramah was a Gaon. You know how old he was when he was ordained a rabbi? He got smicha? How old was the Ramah? 13 years old. 13 years old, he already knew the whole Torah. In his youth, he was young, I don't know the exact age, but he was appointed the rabbi of the city of Krakow. And also to be the Rosh Yeshiva of the city. So, Rav, Rosh Yeshiva, Posek, the Ramah, at a young age. You know, when the Ramah was being inaugurated as the chief rabbi of the city, the Christian bishop came to the ceremony. And the bishop was already an older man. And he came to show respect to the rabbi. And he sees the rabbi as a young boy. So he says, what are they, Jews mocking me? I'm coming from the church to pay respects to the new rabbi. And they have this young kid, becoming the rabbi. And he said to the people there, he said, you guys are mocking me? I'm going to take revenge from the Jews for making this busha to me. So the Ramah heard about this. The Ramah went to the bishop. And the Ramah said to the bishop, listen, do you have any questions in mathematics, astronomy, astrology, physics that the church can't figure out? He says, get all the bishops that you want, all the cardinals, everyone you have here, and go ahead and ask a question. And you'll see why they chose me to be their chief rabbi. So they did that. And they came and they asked him hard questions in sciences and stuff of the time. And the Ramah was able to answer every question. And the bishop got up and gave him kavod. But he was such a great genius. And listen to this, Rabotai. You know the Shulchan Aruch that we have? At the same time, the Ramah was writing a similar sefer. The Ramah then sees Rav Yosef Karo's Shulchan Aruch. What does he do? He shelves it. He stops Shulchan. He doesn't write. And what does he do? He writes to people and says, we drink from Rav Yosef Karo's waters. Whoever disagrees with him, anyone disagrees with Yosef Karo is like disagreeing with the Shekhinah. And what he did was write a mappa, a commentary, a gloss, just to bring down the minhagim of the Ashkenazim, of how they paskin and stuff like that. That was Rav Yosef Karo. But listen to this story, Rabotai. Rav Yosef Karo, the Ramah, Rav Moshe Isserles, he had a habuta that he would learn with. Diligent, Gaon as well. But his habuta, after some point, left the city, and no one heard from him ever again. All of a sudden in Krakow, there was a lot of tragedies in the Jewish community. People were dying, things were getting bad, big problems. So the community got together, and they said, listen, it must be that we're sinning. There's some sort of Averah going on here. If anyone knows of an Averah that's going on, they have to let us know. We have to do, we have to fix it. So somebody comes to the Beit Din and says, there's someone who lives on the outskirts of town. He works for the baker, and we see him living with the baker's daughter, and we believe he does not have chuppah v'kiddushin. So the Ramah's Beit Din says, go and bring this man here. They go and they bring this man here. The Ramah looks, and who is it? It's his chavruta. He says, what's going on? You the baker's apprentice? And what's the story? So the man, the chavruta, tells to the Ramah, the truth is, first of all, he says, I have chuppah v'kiddushin. And he showed him the ketubah. And then he says, so Ramah says, why are you living out of town? Nobody knows where you are. What are you doing? He says to him, I want to learn Torah with nobody knowing me. I want to learn Lishma. I'm humble. So the Ramah says, okay, it's been a long time since I haven't visited you and learned together. I want to come visit you. So the Ramah, the next night, goes to his chavuta's residence. And as he comes there, he hears two people learning, two different voices. He comes inside, he sees only one person. So he asks his chavutah, what's going on here? Who are you learning with? I just heard a voice. Where did that person go? So his chavutah says, it's really Eliyahu Hanavi. I learn with Eliyahu Hanavi. He comes and he learns with me every night. So the Ramah says, listen, if you have Gilu Eliyahu, can you ask Eliyahu Hanavi why he doesn't come see me? You hear this? So the Ramah says, why doesn't he come see me? I also want to learn with Eliyahu Hanavi. So a few days later, the Chavuta came to the Ramah, and he says, I spoke to Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi says he can't come to you because you, as Rav, Rabbi, Dayan, Rosh Yeshiva, you have to have some pride. You have to have some gava. You have to have it in order to have your position. But since you have a trace of gava, Eliyahu Hanavi cannot visit you. You hear this? You hear this, Abotai? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Ramah, Gaon, Anam Meod. Eliyahu Hanavi says, your position requires you to have gava. And even though he doesn't even have it, like, minuscule for so little, Eliyahu Hanavi can't visit him. People used to say about Rabbi Yisrael Salanter that he had a mind of 1,000 men. He's a genius. When Rabbi Yisrael Salanter heard people saying this, he started to cry. They said, why are you crying? Why are you so upset? He said, if I have been granted the immense talents that people think I have a mind of 1,000 minds, then am I actually using all of my mind? Meaning, you think I'm so smart, but I don't think I am. And if such, am I using everything correctly? He didn't come around saying, look what they're thinking about me. Ooh, I'm so great, I must be amazing. No. He knew the extent of his capabilities, and he felt that he was not yet reaching it. People think humility means a person makes himself a zero. Humility does not make myself a zero. Humility means I know who I am, I know my power, I know my strength, but at the same time, I know it all comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I also know that I may not be using these talents, these skills, to the extent that I'm supposed to use it. They say, I don't know how true this is, but you've heard this, that the human only uses 10% of their mind or something to that degree, but use a very short, very small part of it. And especially nowadays, we've all been dumbed down to a degree with all social media and all the other, TikTok, CapCut, I don't know, whatever, every day something else comes out, Instagram, with all this scrolling, we've dumbed down our brains. Be'emet. I once heard a shir from the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva Rabbein Tzachel Chanan, of Arsha Shachter Shlita. And he said that when he was learning by Rav Yoshe Ber Soloveitchik, he said a shir was 4 hours. 4 hours. He says, now you do 1 hour, people already they don't retain anything. He said, Rosh Yeshiva gave shir, or Rosh Yeshiva gave shir, was 4 hours shir. Today, people can't sit 20, 30 minutes already. So someone told me, because I put the shir on YouTube, someone tells me, you have to cut it. It's too long. People can't listen that long. I said, I'm not cutting anything. Whatever I give, I post, whatever it is, whatever comes out in the end of the day. But tell me, they have the attention span of fish. By the way, you know how long a fish has an attention span for? I think I read it once. It was 3 to 7 seconds or something like that. Kids, that's what the attention span they have, right? Those kids who are on iPads, MyPads growing up, that is their attention span. They can't. Why? Because on the screen, it keeps flipping from one picture to the next. So if you flip one picture to the next, when you take them away from the screen, they don't know what to do. What's switching? Where's the next? They have the attention span on one thing can't be. That's what happened. That's what I mean when we're dumbed down by not being able to focus for extensive periods of times. We who grew up in the last generation, we didn't have so much of it. We had some of it. We have it now. We still have an ability to focus. With the younger kids, especially those who grew up with technology in their hands, they can't sit through. They can't sit through anything.
The Zoomers, they grew up with Zoom.
And not only that, I'll tell you even more. They have like a lack of emotions as well, because they've been bombarded with so much stimuli. Nothing shocks them. Nothing kind of like makes the mind think, "Oh, wow, this and that." It's like everything is flat on them. It's a problem. And nowadays they've come to the realization that technology, they try banning them in school and stuff like that, and There are countries that actually put bans on social media and other forms of technology for kids up to 16 years old. They just got sued this week. Was it Google and Meta? Right? And the person who sued them won. That they knowingly made their technology to be addictive to children. So, where is our focus? Where is our understanding? And if we have it, we don't let it get to our head. We have to realize that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us these kohot, He gave us this power, and our job is to use it to the full extent. Rav Reuven Elbaz, he says that he went to visit Chacham Ovadia in his last days. He says, as I entered his room and I stood by his bedside, he was already not here. I used to know him as being so full and overflowing with spiritual content and knowledge. But here he was lying there powerless. Chacham Ovadia was lying powerless on the bed. One doctor came and pricked him with a needle. Another doctor came and took some blood. He was connected to all various tubes. And at that moment, I truly felt what a human being is worth, says Rabbi Elbaz. The genius of geniuses, the greatest of the great, blessed with immense talents, and the one who merited teaching the masses, was there in such a state. The only thing that survived was his holy soul. And one must connect to it, for it's bound to the higher worlds. The body becomes worthless. It's flesh and blood. And he said at that point he realized that all this people who are going around Gava think me, this, that. What are they doing? It all comes to nothing in the end. Only if you spend your time in spiritual pursuit. Your neshama has that. Remembering the day of death is a very powerful remedy for somebody who is a Baal Gava. Remember, we're all going to be, after 120 of a good life, we're all going to be where? In the ground. Okay? And with Zocheh, we're going to have the Bet Din Shel Mala judge us. We should be Zocheh to a good judgment. And then Tchiyat HaMeitim, another judgment. How are we going to stand up to those judgments? Tchiyat HaMeitim, Chazal tell us that if you did certain sins with your different Eivarim, you're going to wake up without those Eivarim, without those limbs. Chas v'shalom. So a person really, really has to work on himself in this world to bring down his level of arrogance, which is normal. And sometimes you need to have that pride and self-confidence, but never to belittle someone else, never to threaten someone else, and to not feel, slighted. It's something that takes time to work on. I'm talking to myself here. It takes time to work on, but to be at that extent, that level. I would say Rav Pam, the Chasidic Bracha, he was walking out of the yeshiva, and a young boy was calling to his friend, Avrumi, Avrumi. And Rav Pam, whose name was Rav Avram Yaakov Pam, turns around and says yes. Rav Pam, the Rosh Yeshiva, says yes to that little boy. He was calling him Avrumi. Didn't even pass in his mind that it wasn't him. Someone said Avrumi. That's me. I'm Avrumi. A level of our tzaddikim. I will tell you, at this point, I want to spend the next few minutes on hilchas of kasher and kalim as we finish today. In the between Mincha and Arvit, we finish the topic of kasher kalim to the extent that we're going to do. But let's get into one of the things that we talked about recently was the dishwasher. Okay, so the dishwasher is actually a question I had today regarding a certain type of dishwasher. But a dishwasher. Why would I want to kasher my dishwasher? Oneg Yom Tov. I don't have to, Oneg Chag. I don't have to wash so many dishes on the Yom Tov, on the Chag. So can a person kasher his or hers dishwasher? Now, we have to realize that there are two forms of kashering, which we talked about many times. There's Hagala and there's Libun. Hagala basically is extracting the chametz, or extracting the Isser. By how? By something that was used with a liquid medium to transfer the flavor of chametz into the pot. So your pots, your pans that are used with liquids, your forks, spoons, cups, all these different things that are transferable with liquids, you can do hagala, and which means you have a rolling, boiling water, and you can use an electric kettle for this also, right? It can boil the water to a roiling boil with electricity versus real fire. It doesn't make a difference. And then you dip the keli inside there. Depending, sometimes you can do irui if the way that the chametz got in or the isser got in via pouring, like in your sink or on your countertop. That's when you can take the tea kettle, right? That's boiling, and now you can methodically make sure every spot gets the boiling water poured onto it, and you can do one part and then the next part, meaning it can be done in parts, not like tevilat kelim when you're doing tevilah. When you're toveling a keli, you have to put the whole keli in one shot, right? And your hands can't be on it, because if your hands are holding it tight, then it doesn't go into those spots, the tevilah. So you have to kind of like loosen your hands or make your hands wet first, and then loosen it when it's in. When I was learning tevilas kelim, Rav Shenkoleski Shlita said to make your hands wet, put the keli inside the mikvah, and then let go of it and transfer it to the other hand. So there's like a quick second where it's completely not touched by anything, and this way, for sure, you get it. Libun, on the other hand, is the elimination via burning of chametz. So these have to be done on something that chametz or an isser got in via direct heat, not liquid medium. So your barbecue, your oven, right? If you're making stuff without liquid medium in there, baking, right? So they have to be done via libun, which is burning it to the degree around 900, 950, and that makes it kosher. When it comes to hagala, we don't want to use the pot or pan for 24 hours before we do the hagala. Shulchan Aruch does say, but even the Al Yosef says a person should be machmer on this. You should wait 24 hours, but the Shulchan Aruch says, technically, chametz, before the zman, it doesn't have to wait 24 hours. You don't have to wait 24 hours. If it's chametz and it's before the zman, that's isser chametz. Once the zman is isser chametz, you can't do that. It has to be 24 hours. But what's it called? But even there, the Kaf HaChaim and many others say one should not rely on that lechatchila. Person should always wait 24 hours. If you didn't wait 24 hours, they need to do it. Sometimes they'll throw in a chemical like bleach or other things like that into the water. The idea is all because you want to do what's called noisen tam lifgam. You want to make the tam pogam, which means if it's live chametz, the chametz comes out, and who's to say the chametz flavor doesn't come back in? Okay, so that's why you want to wait 24 hours. One of the reasons why you want to wait 24 hours, and that's why you want to throw in some bleach. And this way, it will make everything pogum and make everything bad tasting, and it's not going to be considered hametz that will be problematic. Now, when it came to dishwashers, the early dishwashers were made out of, what were they made out of? The early dishwashers? Porcelain, which is pretty much kli cheres, right? Those were the early dishwashers. And so the question was, can you kasher porcelain? And we know that we usually do not kasher porcelain. So today, that's not really the problem. Today, our dishwashers are made out of plastic and metal. So the question is, can I kasher plastic? So there are some poskim who say you can never kasher plastic. A lot of the poskim in Eretz Yisrael are of that opinion, that you can't kasher plastic. A lot of American poskim, a lot of the poskim in USA, going back into when the plastic was new in the industry and all that, said you could. kosher plastic, and it might have to have done with the plastic that was available. I think I've heard this once from Rav Shklensky. It might have been done with what the plastic was, because in America they were able to make nice hard plastic, right, which can withstand Hagala, right? And in Eretz Yisrael, maybe the plastic that they would make is a cheaper plastic. It doesn't withstand Hagala. So if the plastic cannot stand with Hagala, then you can't kasher it. It's like anything else that can't withstand the heat. But Lamaisa,
That was the issue?
that could have been one of the issues that they were dealing with. Rav Moshe Feinstein had somewhat of an in-between opinion. He said that one can kasher plastic throughout the year, but it cannot be kashered for Pesach. And I don't know why his distinction was. It doesn't mean anything that I don't know, but I'm sure he has a distinction, but that was his psak. You can kasher it during the year, milk to dairy, dairy to milk, but you can't kasher chametz out of the plastic.
You know that microwave, when you use it for milking,
Yeah.
for flashing, what do you do?
We'll get into the microwave in a minute. We'll get into the microwave in a few minutes. Now, what about so Lamaisa?
It's all plastic.
Right. So we hold Lamaisa. We hold. Chavavanya holds. We hold. Tzitz Eliezer holds. We can kasher plastic. Hard plastic can be kosher. Metal, we know, can be kosher. So today's dishwashers technically could be kosher if you hold you can kosher plastic. So how do you go about koshering the dishwasher? So number one, how is it done? How does the tam of chametz get transferred into the dishwasher? Is there liquid or no liquid? There's liquid involved. Very good. So what does it need? It needs hagala. Now, how do you make hagala in a dishwasher? It's not possible to maintain a steady boil inside the dishwasher in order to apply it to all the surfaces that have come in contact with food. You don't have that rolling boil that you can get to every part of the dishwasher. So some poskim say to put in that red hot stone or brick inside the dishwasher while it's running, and this way it'll heat up the whole dishwasher. However,
It's not like a pool of water, right?
right, so it doesn't get everywhere also. It's not, he says it only helps boil the water that's in direct contact with the brick and not the rest of the water. So many other have the svara that was given by Rav Soloveitchik and the Aruch HaShulchan. If a kli absorbs a tam, right, at a particular temperature, it can be kashered at that same temperature, even if it's below the normal heat level required for hagala or libun. Right, so this is using Kabbalah Kachpoltai as a kula, which is basically if it goes in at 300 degrees or whatever the muscle, whatever degrees it is. Okay, so then it can come out at that degree, even though it's not fully hagala. It's not fully the rolling boil that you're supposed to have. Where else did we see this? We saw this regarding the oven that doesn't have self-clean, right? According to Moshe, you can't do anything. You have to put an insert. According to most other poskim, whatever highest temperature it can go, well, with that, I can kasher it. Why? Because Kabbalah Kachbaltai, it wouldn't go in with anything more than 500 or 550. So it can come out with that as well. Right? So accordingly, if, for example, the water inside the dishwasher only reaches 180, it's not necessary to kasher it at 212, the degrees of boiling water. 180 is enough. Now, while we generally require the water to be brought to a boil, since the utensil that we are kashering might have been used with boiling water, right? These poskim allow for kashering at a lower temperature, and for utensils that can never reach a hotter temperature due to predetermined settings in the appliance. Okay, so this is the kula that we're using here, Kabbalah Kachpoltai, and that's how we're kashering our dishwasher. Rav Moshe points out another part. Yes. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, we're going to come to the final what to do. Rav Moshe has another issue with the dishwasher. Rav Moshe says there are parts in there that cannot be properly cleaned. There's all sorts of food particles that get stuck in here and there.
Yeah, if the washer dishwasher.
So
There's a filter
Um,
in Nirvana.
right.
So
So you actually have to open it up. And I would suggest you, when opening it up, to take a video of how you opened it so you know how to put it back. Because it could be like, why do I have this piece here? That's what happened to me the first year that I opened up my dishwasher and then I wanted to put it back. And it's like, this piece is extra. Right? And then I had to find someone else's YouTube clip, not a Jewish clip, but one of these mechanics that works with dishwashers. And he was showing how to reassemble the filter, so I was able to put it back. But I had to first find the video. So that's what I'm saying. Take pictures or a video when you're taking it apart. If you're doing it for the first time and you're not familiar with it. So this way you don't get messed up in the end. Those who rely on the poskim, that you could kasher a dishwasher, they have to be careful to clean the dishwasher thoroughly before they put it to the highest setting. Right? You have to check it, you have to open the filter, you have to check all the parts, make sure there is no particles of food there.
What about the glass?
Glass?
Yeah.
So glass, all types of glass, can be washed with water and soap and it's good to go.
Rabbi, porcelain that you use throughout the year, only for coffee and tea. Cups. Porcelain. Only for coffee and tea.
So we'll go like this.
Only for Pesach.
If it's not chametz, then why are you asking the question?
Because
If it's not chametz, then don't ask the question. Then it's fine.
then you can
If you know for certain you didn't use it with chametz, then fine. But if you may have eaten chametz and something and this and that with it at the same time, and there was blios that transferred, then you can't use it. Okay? So, in the end of the day, what do you do with your dishwasher? It is as follows. You would clean it out well, and you would put it to the highest setting, and you would put in those Tide Pods or whatever else they have, those, not Tide Pods, the detergent, the Cascade, Premium or Platinum, whatever each one you have that's good. You don't have to put bleach, just put that detergent that you use for it, and you run a cycle without anything else in there. So you should wait 24 hours. You should clean it out well. You should put in the soap, and you should set it to the highest setting, and that would make your dishwasher ready for Pesach.
Honestly, I never heard of any family using it.
Come by my house, I'll show you.
When do you use it?
Right after Yom Tov, yeah. Before Yom Tov, we use it to all the dishes that were stacked for Pesach. Instead of washing each one, all the china one by one, put them all in the dishwasher and it washes out. We do 1, 2, 3 cycles, and this way it saves everybody time. You can do other things during that time. And then after the Chag, after the 2, it's going to be 3 days this time. Right, you're still going to have a big pile of dishes. You put it in the dishwasher. It's going to make einig Chag. Yeah, it's going to be easier for people. So it's definitely, if it's something that's needed, fine. The person could do it. Now, kashering microwave in general, so we already talked about plastic, so there are poskim who say you could kasher plastic. What else is with a microwave? There are other issues with the microwave. It's not really, how are you kashering? So what do they say to do? Lamaisa, what do they say to do if you have to kasher a microwave? Right, so you take a water, and take a cup of water, put some soap inside, put it in the microwave, put the microwave on for a few minutes, and now it's kosher. So my question to you, what kashrus was it? Like, how did you, what was it Hagala? Was it Libun?
Hagala, because the fresh hot water.
So Hagala can be done with steam?
It's more than hot water.
So he wants to say, Kabbalah Kach Bolta, right?
Steam is higher temperature than boiling.
So he writes over here, generally accepted practices permit kashering a microwave, assuming one cleans it thoroughly, despite the fact we're not generally kasher plastic for Pesach or kasher with steam at all. The process is even more acceptable if one causes places like caustic cleansing agent, like the soap or detergent, while he's boiling it, therefore causing noise and tam lefkam. But even so, they say even if you do kasher it this way, you should try to use it on Pesach with a double covering, whatever you put inside. Like that, right? Okay. Anyway, that is on koshering a microwave, koshering a dishwasher. We have minyan. And we have.
If you say double cover, it has to be airtight. Not necessarily.
It has to be that there's no, the blias can't exchange. There can't be a transfer of time. So you have to cover it. It has to be, like, and they use bags, that's what they use. רבי חמישה אומר הצעה הקדוש ברוך הוא זכו ישראל. לפיכך יבל המתור מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו יגדיל תורה מידיר. אמן.